Welcome to Thriver TV, the place to break free from narcissistic abuse with quantum tools and understandings. And I'm in a beautiful resort in New South Wales at the moment, bringing you Thriver TV on a working holiday for a week. And I want to talk to you about this topic today. That we know narcissistic abuse is agonizing, and I think we can all agree that it is the worst thing that we can imagine going through. So how do we end such horrific, unlivable, unthinkable trauma? Many people will tell you that you can't get out of the pain quickly or easily, even if you do get away from a narcissist. And they tell you that it could take you years, if not decades, to try to recover. But I'm here to tell you that this is not true. If you are in the terrible trauma of narcissistic abuse, no matter what it is that you are feeling or have lost or how old you are, I want you to know more than anything that there is a way out of the pain, and not just into mere survival of what you've been through, but truly a transcendence into the thriving that your soul always intended you to live. And today I'm going to show you how to connect to that soul truth. I'm a living example of how to do this. With narcissist number one, it took me a grueling 18 months after finally leaving to get out of the minute to minute and sometimes second to second agony of feeling like I had a terrifying, agonizing virus continually sucking my life force and making living virtually unbearable. And I'm not alone. I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the torment only stopped because finally I had the answers regarding how to heal. Then with narcissist number two, it took me 3 days only to detox him and the agony of what I'd been through. It was different this time because right from the get-go, I knew exactly how to do it. It breaks my heart every time I hear people say it takes time, it's a long, hard journey to heal, and all the other limiting beliefs and things that we've accepted as true about abuse recovery. Because I know it doesn't have to be this way. Let's have a look at the starting point to get better. To be ready for this information, you need to want to get better. People say, of course I want to get better. Yet really, when we deeply investigate this, maybe we haven't had enough of the pain yet. I know for a long time I wanted to hang on to my victimization, and I can't speak for you, even though I've worked with thousands of people over the last 10 years to help them get better in ways that they thought weren't even possible. But I'm going to speak from my own experience. It wasn't until a consciousness shift that I was even near the goals of recovery, let alone on the field. It wasn't until I'd had enough of the pain that I was open to look at narcissistic abuse recovery from a completely different angle. I know that if I finally hadn't surrendered to a higher truth about all of this, I wouldn't have made it. I would not have continued living, let alone be living the life of my dreams, and I would not have been able to help other people break through to this incredible level of Thriver recovery as well. Our starting point needs to be, if what I've been trying to do to get well hasn't been working, then I've got to open up to the possibility of another way. So I want to talk about giving up the outside focus because it's so important. How many times have I quoted Pema Chodron in my blogs and talks? And I don't think I'm ever going to get sick of doing this, because this quote is the most powerfully resonating one for me regarding narcissistic abuse that I have ever heard. And this is what she said: "Nothing ever goes away until it's taught us what we need to know." I know 100% as a result of my Thriver journey that life is happening for us and not to us. And it's excruciatingly difficult to accept this when we're in the bowels of hell with a narcissist. Additionally, when we're thrown into inner body trauma, immediately we go into emotional survival programs which trigger cortisol and adrenaline, which goes like this: My inner is traumatized, and I will look outside myself and try to change my outer environment in order to try to change my inner trauma. And this is the most optimal terrain for a narcissist to operate in. People disconnected from their own truth and power, trying to negate, fix, change, or stop the narcissist doing what they're doing in order to try to feel loved and safe. It doesn't work. All it does is disconnect us more and more from our own inner beings, truth, values, and choices, and hands the narcissist our energy, which is narcissistic supply, therefore feeding them the very energy that sustains their ability to hurt us, attack us, and go for more of their drug. When we believe that things are happening to us, we're always going to be in our logic trying to control other people and situations rather than deeply connecting to ourselves, our inner development and resources and true power, and working out our life from there. We were lied to by our peers and authorities. We thought that's how life works, addressing what is happening to us, but it doesn't. It's wrong town. It equals handing our power away and how to lose. It's the exact environment that we get drained out in and narcissists feed from. Let's have a look at acceptance of this is for me. When we can accept this is happening for me, we shift towards the highest power of infinite intelligence, which is the knowing that there is only God, grace, love, and perfection in all of this, no matter what it looks like, and that people and situations are catalysts. If it wasn't that person doing this, then somebody else would be taking their place. It's not even about that person. It's about the message they're bringing to us to help us turn inwards, self-examine, up level, and take our power back. Thank God I had my breakdown on my bathroom floor that day. Because you see, I was stubborn. I had a heap of defense mechanisms and the terror of being inferior, defective, blamed, and wrong. I was a good person, but there was no way known in my narcissistic abuse situation that I ever wanted to accept that there was something about me that needed healing. If I blamed him and took no responsibility for my part, then I thought that was serving me by keeping me safe in my righteousness. Now I know completely differently. Gosh, it's so hot in here. This is very tropical where I'm staying. This viewpoint was keeping me away from the one thing that was going to get me up and out of this horrific trauma, the healing of myself back to wholeness. I love another one of Pema Chodron's quotes. If somebody comes along and shoots an arrow into your heart, it's fruitless to stand there and yell at that person. It would be much better to turn your attention to the fact that there's an arrow in your heart. When we remain a victim, we don't let go of our focus on what happened to us and remove and heal from the arrow in our heart. The following is our reality as a victim. I have no power to change or become anything that will change my life because there was nothing about me that needs to change and become, even though there's a dirty big arrow in my heart. Therefore, for my life to change and become different, I'm stuck like this, hoping something outside of me will change and become different. In my life, as it is for all of us, this doesn't happen. And because I didn't take on my own healing initially, meaning embracing the gift of my evolution, the wounds festered, the trauma escalated, whilst I fruitlessly tried to change outer circumstances and people. I was ignoring the metaphoric arrow in my heart, which was my unhealed traumas that narcissistic abuse had fully activated, and my life nearly ended as a result. And it was only at the last skerrick of my life force that I had my epiphany to turn inwards and start fully devoting myself to attending to the arrow. I've seen this happen with so many others as well, that finally when we have had enough of the pain, we decide to give up our victimization, come inside and start to change and heal the only person that we ever have the chance to change and heal ourselves. If we're not prepared to give up our victimization, then we don't get better. I've never seen one person in all the years that I've been helping people create Thriver recoveries make it out to right town if they aren't prepared to turn inwards and do the work to evolve themselves and heal. Let's have a look at what happens when we turn inwards. Something very beautiful and powerful happens when we turn inwards if we've been able to give up the notions of I'm taking the blame, the narcissist gets off the hook, and this must mean I'm defective. When we accept that this is my life for me to heal, this is my opportunity for me to heal something that I haven't been able to before now, and I'm turning inwards with the dedication that I would for anyone in my life that I fiercely loved and cherished and wanted to help, then we're replacing self-judgment with self-devotion. It's from this intention that we get very interested in finding wounds that have caused us to be hooked into people who are hurting us, so that finally we can let them and these people go. We start to understand that we're not defective or to blame, rather that we're a part of the human experience which has been steeped in unconsciousness, trauma and survival, and we need inner adjustment and healing to be in a different love code, where we're able to be in life on a different trajectory than the one we were enmeshed in previously. Once we start being in contact with the inner parts of ourselves stuck in trauma patterns and binds with narcissists, we realize that many of our wounds came from our genetic history and our parents as emotional wounds that we were born with, nature, and ones that were accentuated in our childhood from the very people that were also carrying these wounds, nurture. And we can also start to understand that our parents were also brought up. They were also brought up by their parents in conditional ways, full of expectations, punishment, and emotional abandonment because of the emphasis on practical survival. And it was a very rare human who was able to have self-values and truths rather than trying to please others to try to earn self-love and self-worth. As children, we were incredibly codependent. We literally could not cater to our own survival needs. We also had no ability to feel whole, worthy, and lovable for who we were on the inside. If this wasn't mirrored back to us effectively by people who were so busy dealing with their own wounds, emotional survival, and expectations from others, then they couldn't demonstrate devotion to their own and our inner beings. And we came out of childhood empty. And this is our necessary self-work now to grow these parts up and heal them with self-love and devotion, rather than the wrong town premise of powerlessly holding other people responsible for them and blaming them for them. When we turn inwards and start doing the corner healing to bring ourselves back to wholeness, we're not just reparenting, we're releasing the traumas from our forebears, the human collective experience, and our childhoods. And we get to replace these traumas with source, which is the ultimate integration, wholeness, and healing love, taking us wound by wound immediately back to our true self organic state without our traumas. Then we become who we really are, without the fractures that have been inflicted upon us by other humans whose fractures were inflicted upon them too. The relief and joy and wholeness we start to feel is indescribable. Let's have a look at embracing the gratitude of this was for me. Would any of this happen if we weren't smashed to our knees with nowhere else to go? As Joe Dispenza says, Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's a wonderful neuroscientist, he says this: when life can no longer go on as normal, this is when we reach the point of personal catharsis. Buddha said to the three men that came to him after searching all of the planet, the highest mountains, the deepest oceans, and the farthest corners of the earth for their divinity. Buddha said, I wasn't going to tell you where your divinity was until you'd exhausted all options, because you wouldn't have believed me that your divinity is within you. This is so true. Quantum scientists are now asserting that we all have an inner universe that is driving our outer universe, and I totally believe that. In the Bible, Psalm 82:6, the quote is, "I said, ye are gods." How have we got so far away from our power and highest truth by believing that things are happening to us instead of for us? How have we got away from the quantum truth that there is a force that is always positioning for our expansion, evolution, and well-being, that wants exactly for us what we want for us, if we awaken and free ourselves from the traumas and conditioned beliefs that are not the real us? I know initially when I was a victim in my narcissistic abuse situation that I believed life, God, and everyone pretty much was against me and damning me. Even before narcissistic abuse, I was living with embedded inner traumas that were limiting my life in so many ways. I was existing, but I wasn't living, and I thought that was normal, was my normal. And I would have told you at the time how amazing myself and my life was. But now that I know the difference between then and now, I wouldn't go back to life before narcissistic abuse for all the tea in China. I know from the bottom of my soul that narcissistic abuse was what finally drove me back into myself to heal what I needed to. And I'm eternally grateful for that. All right, there was something that took me quite a few years to learn in my recovery journey, but it was well worth the wait because it's priceless. It's this: the greatest key in not just surviving, but truly thriving after narcissistic abuse is evolving yourself your highest mission. And that's absolutely how I live my entire life now before anything or anyone else. I know that if I'm not taking care of my side of the road, which means being forever dedicated to my own evolution out of the trance of human false beliefs and traumas and into my true self and true life, that I'm not serving anyone or anything in truthful and real ways anyway. Many people in narcissistic abuse recovery try to heal to start earning money again, or get a great partner, or rebuild what they lost. Initially, I did the same. Finally, I got it. I realized that of course I needed to look after my survival needs, but there was nothing more important than evolving myself out of the old patterns and traumas that were not serving me. It was about leaning into and healing all of those inner places, preventing me from being free to be me, aligning with my values and truths, and truly alive. When I made that my greatest focus above all else, I found that the things that were my greatest desires came to me effortlessly. It was if Source, the greatest force of all creation, said, well, now that you're honoring you, I'll grant you more of that. I will honor, partner, and fully be with you too. Do you think narcissistic abuse remained in my energy field, reality, and life after this? No, of course it didn't. And it won't for you either. The soul contract with a narcissist, the experience is completed. This means when you graduate, when you take your evolution with both hands and all of your heart and let go of the things and people that you can't control, as well as all of your internal traumas that these people help make conscious for you, then these people can and will leave your experience. Like a FedEx parcel that has been delivered, accepted, and unwrapped, there is no more need for your door to get knocked on anymore. Do you understand? I hope this episode has helped inspire you and granted you an inner shift that the cells of your body are vibrating with. That's the biggest gift I wish to deliver you in these Thriver TV episodes. But I want you to know it's only the start, because we have to do the inner work to release and rewire our inner love codes and the relationship trajectories that we have been on. And I want to invite you to join me to understand more about this in my 16-day free course, which has a lot of free resources to help you get your inner healing journey powerfully started. So to begin this, click the link at the top right of this video. And if you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe so that you'll be notified as soon as each new one is released. And if you like this one, please click the like button and also share with your communities so that we can help other people connect to and awaken to these truths and leave narcissistic abuse behind forever, which is what happens when we do the inner work to release ourselves from trauma. And as always, I'd love to answer your comments and your questions about this Thriver TV episode. So until the next one, keep smiling, keep healing, and keep thriving, because there's nothing else to do. Lots of love. Bye-bye.